All right, go ahead.
Alright, sorry, I don't exactly have an intro as flashy as you. Nice job, by the way. But I think my topic is just as serious. Now I'm going to talk about concussions and how they're more than just a tap on the head. Now, concussions are endangering our favorite athletes. Modern athletes, especially in heavy contact sports such as football and hockey, have begun to suffer more concussions as of late. Now, at the beginning of my project, when I started doing research, I thought that leagues were doing enough to combat this new problem. Well, they're finding players and suspending them. That should be enough, right? After I dug a little deeper, I changed my mind and decided that no, they're not doing enough to solve this problem. Now, while sports leagues have been trying to make some changes, they're not doing enough, in my opinion. Now, what do I think should be done? I think that not only should newer rules be implemented, but new protective gear needs to be developed, and wearing this protective gear should be mandatory if we're going to stop concussions in today's sports. Now, let me just run through what a concussion again is just real quickly, okay? A concussion is a traumatic brain injury. It's caused by a severe blow to the head. Now, professional athletes are notoriously hard hitters. Some of them can hit it with a force of up to 190 Gs. That is quite a lot. Concussions, repeated ones, have been shown to have long-lasting effects on the brain, especially when it comes to memory loss and brain damage. I'd like to demonstrate how this can affect someone. This is Shane John. He's an ex-NFL linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons. He started playing in 1996 and stopped playing in 2006. He played a linebacker, a collision-heavy position in a sport already notorious for being very collision-heavy. Now, after he stopped playing, his friends and family noticed that he became distant and moody, and sometimes very angry. He actually received a bit of infamy for once getting really angry and punching a fast food clerk in the face for what's basically a very trivial reason. And sadly, he committed suicide in 2009. After he died, doctors, the proper term is autopsized, they cut open his brain and discovered that he suffered from chromatic traumatic encephalopathy. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. It's a form of brain damage. He basically had tumors growing in his head. This explains why he was so moody, so distant, and so prone to violent outbursts. Now, he's not the only player to suffer from this condition. Doctors have diagnosed up to 13 other NFL players who suffer from this condition brought on by repeated concussions. Now, what's currently being done to stop this? Well, some things are being done to try and control concussions. As I mentioned earlier, many sports leagues are implementing rules to try and prevent concussions by banning players and fining them for hard hits. James Harrison, a famous defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was notorious for this. He once got taken out of a game and fined $50,000 for smearing Cleveland Browns receiver Mohamed Masquire last season. Now, the popular Madden football franchise. You all play that game, especially the guys? I know you play it. Well, for Madden 11, they introduced new features. You know, the hit stick, the big tackles, you can see the huge tackles over and over again. Well, for Madden 12, they're going to go down a different route. They're actually going to help emphasize concussion safety. EA Sports, the game's publisher, believes that the game could be used as a teaching tool. I think this will be very effective, especially since there are a lot of younger kids, this 6 to 12 middle school demographic, that play Madden. I think this is good. They might learn something. But ultimately, it doesn't come down to what's being done. If we really want to change this problem, we have to influence the fans' opinions. Now, one major problem that sports leagues has is they don't want to alienate their fans. Remember how I said my last speech about Bruce Boudreaux's, well, a true hockey fan wouldn't care about concussions. It's just a part of the game. Stop whining. Well, sadly, he's got a lot of people who think along the same mind. League officials don't want to institute any radical changes. Fans don't like to see their favorite sport getting changed, and league officials fear that if too much gets changed, fans will leave, watch something else. No one wants that. Now, this is another Pittsburgh Steeler, Heinz Ward. No, I don't like the Steelers. They just happen to pop up a lot. Now, he went on the radio with ESPN's Mike Goodney and Mike Golick. You might know this better on Mike and Mike in the Morning. And he discussed the issue of concussions. He believes that pro players will be willing to lie about their concussions to medical personnel so they can stay on the field, rather than say, well, I'm suffering these symptoms, then they'll get taken off, they don't get play time, and then their contract's at risk. They don't want to lose their playing. Now, another problem is the youth. Now, youth are very arrogant. I know we are. We think we're invincible. Well, it kind of happens. We just don't fear concussions enough. ESPN Magazine did a survey amongst high school players, the families of their players, coaches, and personal trainers, and they discovered that players would care more about winning games than about their safety. So they outlined a scenario. Imagine your team's in a championship football game. Your star quarterback gets creamed in a James Harrison-style hit. He's showing concussion symptoms. Would you keep him in, or would you bench him and pull out your second string? Now, the parents, coaches, and professional trainers, they all said, pull the kid, put the second string in. But the players said, no, keep him. We want to win this game. We don't want to lose. Give us every advantage we have. Now, extremes lead to extremes. Parents fear concussions way too much. Now, granted, some of these are pretty damaging, but parents are getting so scared they're pulling their kids away from major contact sports and putting them into much smaller sports like golf and hockey. Now, golf and tennis. Now, while football and hockey aren't going to be affected that much, what about other startup sports like, say, lacrosse? It's big here, but it's not big in, say, Iowa. If you start pulling talent away, the sport's not going to get big, and it's just not going to grow. Now, Keith, what about protective gear that you said is being developed? Yeah, it is. But it's not doing any good if the players aren't wearing it. Hines Ward, back on Mike and Mike in the Morning, said that they were all given new helmets by the NFL, but there was no mandate saying, well, you have to wear them. Many players just wear the old ones. They thought they felt comfier and didn't block their vision as much. Now, in hockey fights, I'm certain you all like to watch those. Notice how the first things they do is flick off their gloves and take off the helmets before going at it? Well, those padded gloves aren't going to do any protection if they're lying on the ice right next to you. Let's take another sport like, say, boxing. I know, you can't do hard hits, but accidents happen. So they're not wearing anything. They're just wearing, say, swim trunks and padded gloves. MMA fighters are wearing even less. Look at those things. Those things can't even cushion, well, anything. It's just a strip of leather. Now, in conclusion, concussions are very serious in modern sports. But unfortunately, the public doesn't yet know how to proceed on the issue. I think that both the mindsets of players and fans needs to be changed before anything can happen. We have to get the public to accept that concussions are no longer acceptable in sports before any major changes can be made.